Today on the Trend Out Loud podcast. No, we don't support any restrictions on contraception. It's contraception. We're not even talking about abortion. Like, this is contraception. We're talking about condoms. Like, how could you think on restricting any form of contraception? What up? It's your boy Trend Out Loud, and I'm back with another episode. All right, it's Wednesday morning. You guys know how I feel about Wednesdays. It's hump days. It's my third favorite day of the week because we are closer to the weekend. And that's all I care about is my weekends. All right, let me get this show kicked off for you. I got two lead stories for you. One is about Diddy. He got a new lawsuit filed against him. Then the second lead story, we're going to talk about Red Lobster filing for bankruptcy, but still keeping most of their stores open. Then we're going to jump into quick news. We're going to talk about Lloyd singing on stage to Ashant, Angel Reese, Lil Naz X, and one of Diddy's baby mamas are commenting on his video. Then we're going to jump into speed news. We got Jasmine, Crockett, Cameron, 50 Cent, Serena Williams, and then Donald Trump. Then we're going to jump over to question of the day, and then we're going to close out, as we always do, with a little bit of sports news. We're going to talk about the NBA. Y'all know what time it is. Turn your TVs, devices, or your radios up. I'm about to start this show. Let's go. Diddy hit with a 2003 sexual assault lawsuit by a model that alleges she was drugged with a lace blunt and forced to perform oral sex. She was told to suck it. I don't know if I could say that on the radio, but I think so. All right, I'll read a little bit of the story to you guys. Crystal McKee claims back in 2003, she met Diddy at a men's fashion week event and was invited back to his studio. She said Diddy and his entourage were drinking Hennessy and had blunts in rotation, but she felt strange after smoking it. Crystal says the blunt was laced with another drug. Feeling lightheaded, Crystal recalls Diddy making her follow him to the bathroom, where he then forced himself on her, allegedly shoving her head in his private areas, and then he said to suck it. She goes on to claim, though she refused, Crystal said he continued to force her head down, making him perform oral sex on her. As she started to walk away, she passed out and later realized that she had been sexually assaulted when she woke up in a taxi. Crystal says she was even blackballed from the modeling industry after the incident and attempted suicide due to serious depression in 2004. Crystal said she felt morally obligated to speak out after Cassie and other lawsuits were filed. She's seeking damages, but the amount is unspecified. So, I mean, those are huge allegations, but they're all in line with the other, I think, 5 or 6 allegations that have come out against Diddy. And we normally see this in trials like this, right? Where it's one woman comes forward, then a couple of other come forward, and they say that, hey, the reason why I haven't come forward before is I didn't feel comfortable. But now that I see other women coming forward, it's making me feel more comfortable to tell my story. The one thing that I'm not too sure about with this situation is the reason why Cassie and the others came through so quickly was that the statute of limitation in New York was extended for like an undetermined amount of time, and that's why you saw a lot of court cases coming through. Maybe this lawsuit is filed in a state where the statute of limitation is greater, because in 2003, we're talking about 21 years ago, right? So I'm not too sure with this statute of limitation how that is going to work, but it is filed. It is a legal lawsuit. So we'll see how this unravels. The thing that I've always questioned is that if Diddy has a federal case against him and he may have federal charges and he may be going to jail, would it make sense for him to keep settling these lawsuits? And then also, for example, one of the reasons why people settle lawsuits, like in Diddy's case, he was able to tie up Cassie in an NDA where she cannot say anything. But if everything is already out in the open and he already is facing criminal charges, does it make sense for him to settle these civil lawsuits? And just to be clear, this case that I'm talking about right now is not criminal. It's just civil where she's looking for money. It's not, there has been no criminal charges filed against Diddy since the beginning of all this. A lot of people get confused. He does not have one criminal charge against him. These are all civil suits. There is a federal criminal investigation, but there has been no charges laid. So like I always say when I talk about this, this is going to go on for the next couple of weeks. We'll see who else comes out. We'll see what other lawsuits. But I have a feeling that Diddy settled with Cassie. It didn't help his situation. He still has the federal investigation. Cassie can't talk, but her lawyer can and her friends can. So it's all out in the open. If you ask me, I don't see Diddy settling any of these civil lawsuits, and he'll just wait for them to go to trial and see, what kind of evidence they have to come up with. And then once it goes to court, and if there's not sufficient evidence, it gets thrown out. But I mean, everything is out in the open. So it doesn't hurt him anymore that he has one more case. Once you have multiple, it's pretty much done for him, like we talked about yesterday. But I will, of course, follow up on this and let you guys know. All right, in our second lead story for you business people out there, Red Lobster clarifies bankruptcy rumors. Filing does not mean we are closing. Red Lobster has posted an open letter to its customers assuring them that most other restaurants will remain open despite the company's financial troubles. In quotation, it says, filing for bankruptcy does not mean we're going out of business. In fact, it means just the opposite. They also posted a letter. I'll read whatever, a paragraph or two, because it is a big, long, it's like a 5-paragraph letter. It says, Dear guest, you may be aware that Red Lobster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. While we take a moment to explain what this means to our company for you and our valued guest. It is a legal process that allows us to make changes to our business and our cost structures so that Red Lobster can continue as a strong company going forward. As many as you know, we recently made the tough decision to close a number of our restaurants. Truly, this is a best brand, whatever, blah, blah. So that's it. So they're just clarifying that they are not going out of business. There are different forms of bankruptcy. If I'm not mistaken, this is a Chapter 11. Yeah, so Chapter 11, it's more about bankruptcy protection, where they can go into restructuring, where they could now talk to their creditors and say, okay, listen, we owe you $10 million. So what we would like to do is we would like to offer you, for example, $3 million right now. Forgive us for $5 million. And then in the next 2 years, once we're back on our feet, we'll give you another $2 million. So all the creditors get in a room and they all hear what their new business plan what's their plan going forward. And then if everybody agrees with the restructuring, everybody agrees with their plan, they'll say yes. It's a better alternative than, for example, their creditors, for example, let's say one bank, they owe $10 million. We could just file Chapter 7 right now, which I think is final bankruptcy. Chapter 7 and you get nothing, or you get scraps. Or we could do Chapter 11 and you can maybe get half of your money back if you give us for some forgiveness. So for those of you non-business people out there, that is the different levels of bankruptcy protection. It is different in different countries. That is how it works in the US. In Canada, I think it's a little bit different. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about it because it's not a business show. It's an entertainment show. But for those Red Lobster lovers out there, just to let you know, they are in bankruptcy protection. They're going through some restructuring. They are closing some restaurants, but they're doing this so that Red Lobster could stay part of your family's life, even if it's not even really in your family's life. Okay, you guys, I have a bonus story for you. I totally forgot about this one. 50 Cent sells Diddy documentary, Diddy Do It, to Netflix after bidding war. And he says, if more victims keep coming, I'm going to have to put on more episodes. All right, listen to this. It's official. After teasing us for months since Cassie's $30 million lawsuit in November 2023, in which she accused Diddy of abuse, the R word, and sex trafficking, 50 Cent's documentary, Diddy Do It, is heading to Netflix after a bidding war. On Tuesday, May 22nd, TMZ reported that multiple sources familiar with the project told them that 50 Cent's multi-part documentary about the sexual assault allegations against Diddy has been purchased by the streaming giant Netflix. Sources told the news outlets that Netflix won the documentary series after a massive bidding war between several other TV networks and streaming platforms. The project, which is produced by 50 Cent's G-Unit Films and TV Studios, is scheduled to air on Netflix in the near future. Reacting to the news exclusively reported by TMZ, 50 Cent shared a screenshot of the article and stated, this is a joke by the way, he said, TMZ used this fat picture of me because their documentary that they tried to do went straight to Tubi. And he says, it's okay, TMZ, we'll make great television happen in the future. Anyways, Netflix won the bidding war, but more victims keeps coming through. I'm going to have to keep on doing more episodes. After 50 Cent's post called out TMZ for featuring a bad image of him looking fat, the editor changed over the picture, and now they have a new picture of 50 beside Diddy announcing the documentary. So the whole picture of 50 Cent is really not important. Let's just forget about that. 50 Cent, who has been trolling Diddy for months, days, weeks, like repeatedly. He really wasn't joking. He actually was making a documentary about Diddy. He had a bidding war between all these other networks, and Netflix bought it. I am literally shocked, man. This is a win for Diddy. The news of 50 Cent's Diddy documentary heading to Netflix arrived shortly after a heartbreaking video was released showing Diddy, born Sean Combs, assaulting ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. Days after the release, he shared an apology video on Instagram, taking full accountability. Okay, yeah, we all know about that. Wow, man. Yo, I can't believe 50 Cent's really doing it. So there you have it. Like I told you, I just read to you, TMZ put one out. It really went to Tubi. For those of you who don't know what Tubi is, that's like the ghetto version of like YouTube. Like it's like where like low budget stuff go to like die. 50 Cent landed a Netflix series of 50 Cent. 50 Cent landed a Netflix series documenting Diddy's trial and sexual allegations. This is going to be crazy. Your arch nemesis lands a deal with the biggest streaming giant to do a documentary about your sexual assault allegations. This is going to be wild, and this is going to be one of the biggest streamed documentaries of all time. I guarantee it. Yo, shout out to 50 Cent. Yeah, I am literally speechless, man. Shout out to 50 Cent. All right, this brings us to quick news. Ring my bell. Lloyd sends a sweet message to Ashanti and Nelly's baby while performing Southside with Ashanti on stage. All right, so this is going viral and not for the right reasons. Lloyd was singing to Ashanti's stomach and had his hand on her stomach while singing to her. And people thought it was like a little bit awkward that, you know, he's there and he's singing and he's on one knee and touching her belly. And they kind of thought that this was a little bit disrespectful to Nelly. But apparently Lloyd and Nelly are boys and they're super cool with each other. And of course, Ashanti and Lloyd are really good friends. So Lloyd posted this up trying to kind of debunk the kind of backlash that they were getting online. And Lloyd said, "Dear baby Heinous," I don't know if that's supposedly the baby's name, "you are surrounded by love, by good energy, by people who have prayed for your peace of mind way before you're even born. One day I will tell you of the time I got to sing to you while you were still in your mother's belly, and how your mother changed my life, and how your dad was there for me when I needed a little love and guidance. Can't wait to meet you and make you laugh. Inshallah, your Uncle Lottie." Lottie? Uncle Lloydie? I don't know, whatever. That's a little like name. And Ashanti wrote back and said, "OMG, I'm crying, and you know I don't cry. Thank you, Lottie. I love you so much. Such beautiful and meaningful words. I truly appreciate you so much. I'm literally crying. Let's not read too much into this, but all I gotta say is that Nelly didn't comment. So Lloyd tried to soften the blow a little bit, no pun intended. And then Ashanti was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we're super cool. Nelly hasn't waited and said anything. I don't know how I would feel if there was another man on his knees rubbing my wife's belly on stage. I know if you all are friends or colleagues or whatever, I'm saying that may rub me a little bit the wrong way too. So I don't know. I have looked out for a couple of Nelly comments. I looked on a couple of different blog sites and I haven't. We shall see in the next coming days if Nelly comments, or maybe this is nothing, but people online are definitely making this into a moment. All right, in our second quick story, Angel Reese joins ownership group for new professional women's soccer team in Washington, D.C. Okay, I love to hear this. And you guys know how much of a big fan I am of Angel Reese. From her WNBA debut to her college graduation and now co-owner of a professional women's soccer team, on Tuesday, Angel Reese was announced as one of the founding owners of the DC Power Football Club. According to ESPN, DC Power Football Club is one of the 8 teams that will compete in the inaugural season of the ULS Super League, which launches this summer. In a statement, Angel, who is a Maryland native, spoke about her new ownership role and said, I want to help grow women's sport and elevate female athletes across the board. We're taking over and I'm honored to be able to support Power FC and invest in women's soccer in the DMV community. Yo, shout out to Angel Reese for that. This is an interesting story because I seen on CNN or maybe it was ESPN, I can't remember, where they are seeing a boom across all female sports, whether it be golf, basketball, hockey. They're seeing a big surge in the word I'm looking for in advertising and spending dollars, where companies are looking and saying, all right, I want to put a couple of $1 million behind women's golf. I want my commercial to show up in, of course, the WNBA, women's college basketball. So it really looks like what everybody in the sports world has literally been talking about for the past couple of years about women being underpaid and women athletes not getting their just due. It looks like we're turning the corner. People like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and a couple of these other college basketball players that got drafted this year put a big spotlight on women's sports. And it looks like we're finally making the turn and women athletes will be able to get as much, and who knows, maybe one day even make even more money than male athletes. So shout out to Angel Reese. All right, in our third quick story, Lil Naz X shares that he's happy for Beyonce and Shabuye's country music success. He says he wishes that could have happened to him. I completely forgot that Lil Naz X really came out on the scene with Old Town, what was it, Old Town Road? Yeah, Old Town Road. You guys remember that song? Yeah, he was one of the first black hip hop artists to come out with a country song and it be number one. But people are saying that he's throwing a little shade and it's kind of like a backhanded compliment. But anyway, let me just read the story and then we'll decide how we feel after that. Lil Naz X popped out on the music scene with his hit record Old Town Road. The song, which is now 17 times platinum, broke various records and catapulted his success as an artist. Back in 2019, there was some controversy around the song's genre after Billboard removed the song from its hot country charts for not enough elements of today's country music. And that was in quotes, by the way. Some folks voiced their opinions on whether race played a role in the decision, but that was denied. Now in 2024, more black artists are topping the country music charts, including Beyonce and Shabuye's, sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name right. In an interview with BBC News, Lil Nas X reflects on the matter and shares that he is happy for both artists. He added, but I wish this would have happened to me. I wasn't able to experience this. When asked if he plans on revisiting the country music genre, he said he's been trying to figure out some country songs here and there over the past couple of years. He continued, I want to feel connected to it, but not force it. So yeah, that sounds like a little bit of shade. You know what I mean? It was like, because that song sounded very country. I mean, listen, I'm not a country expert, but Old Town Road sounded very country. But not only because was he black, but I think because he was a black hip hop artist, where Beyonce, well, first of all, I think that maybe he kind of was the one who broke down the barriers, and the first one to break down the barriers, it's hard. But I think also what helps Beyonce is one, that she's Beyonce, and two is that it was R&B, right? I think it was a black rapper trying to make a country song is the reason why they took it out of the country genre. But hey, shout out to Lil Naz X. You still have that. It's 17 times platinum, and that's what happens when you are the first to break down the door. You sometimes don't get the recognition you deserve, but those who know. All right, this brings us to our fourth quick story. Misa Hylton, Diddy's baby mama, addresses the video of Diddy assaulting Cassie. And she said, "I know exactly how she feels. And through my empathy, it was triggering of my own trauma." She put up a picture of all of Diddy's kids all together, including her own. And she wrote, "These young people were raised by women that want the best for them. We put God and education first and have always been united in our mutual effort to support their dreams. Two of the youngest don't have their mother here, and it has been our duty to support them. Their father needs help," obviously talking about Diddy. "Their father needs help, and I pray that he truly does the personal work and receives the help he needs." That's really sad, man. When you put it in perspective like this and you put those kids all up in there, I'll put the picture up on my YouTube channel, obviously. But yeah, Misa Hylton, the mother of Justin Combs. Oh, I thought she was the mother of one of the girls. Sorry. So this is Justin's mom. All right, Misa Hylton, the mother of Justin Combs, has addressed the video of his father, Diddy, assaulting ex-girlfriend Cassie. Really sad. Back in 2016, while sharing images of all of Diddy's children, Misa expressed how heartbroken she is for Cassie and says she knows exactly how she feels and how the situation is triggering her own trauma. She expressed that all of his children have been raised by women who want the best for them and says Diddy needs help. She prays he gets the work he needs. Ooh, tough situation, man. But shout out to Misa. I think she handled it well. Doesn't look like she threw him under the bus. She kind of like indirectly said that maybe she may have experienced some assault because she said this triggers my own trauma. She could be talking about a past relationship, or she could be talking about Diddy. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. But yeah, shout out to Misa for trying to at least, think about the kids and talk about the kids. I really like that. All right, this brings us to speed news. Ring my bell. Representative Jasmine Crockett moves to trademark Bleach blonde, bad built butch body. All right, for those of you who remembered this from last week I think it was a congressional hearing. I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jasmine got into like a heated back and forth, and then Jasmine called her a bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Here is a little quote for those of you who don't remember. Here's a little sample of the audio for those of you who don't remember.
"I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?"
A what now?
Yo, the look on those white man's faces, they were like, what? What you say? Anyways, just to remind you guys, Marjorie Taylor Greene was the one who started this, calling out Jasmine's eyelashes, saying, "You probably can't see me properly with your big fake eyelashes." And that's why Jasmine was like, "Oh, excuse me, we're in a congressional hearing. We're not allowed to talk about each other's appearances. Do you want me to talk about your blonde hair? What is it? Bleach blonde, bad built butch body." That's a tongue twister. So who knows? She's going to trademark it and maybe make some money off of it. All right, this brings us to our second speed story. Cameron addresses his viral CNN interview, says they called him to talk about Diddy and not about positivity. "You could have called us for a bunch of positive things that we do." Okay, so listen, actually, hold on. Let me read this. By now, many of you have seen Cameron's appearance on CNN, where he was asked about what is currently going on with Diddy, and he obviously wasn't having that. Shortly after, he addressed the interview on his own show, where he said they didn't call to speak about the success of his show or the positivity that he and Mace does. So he made sure to cut them up. All right, here's a little clip from Cameron's podcast. You guys take a listen for yourself.
They didn't invite me on to say about how successful our show is or the positive stuff we do in the community. We do all these positive things, and you call me on CNN for the bullshit.
All right, so I saw a lot of people talking about this Breakfast Club, bunch of people like online and stuff, and people are just laughing like, haha, Cameron was really funny. I don't really find it funny, to be honest, because it's the place where he chose to do it. This is Abby Phillips. Like, Abby is a black female anchor on CNN. I think one of two black female anchors. And I just don't think it was fair to have done that to her. Do that to somebody else. And especially also to CNN. CNN is like center left. Do that like on Fox. You know what I mean? If you did that to, for example, what are those guys on Fox? I don't even remember those guys, but you know who I'm talking about. Those like right wing, like pundits who really don't care about any black views or black social rights or justice. I would understand. I just don't think he should have done this to Abby. It's not fair. I watch Abby all the time. She's a good girl. She definitely is always fighting for our rights, for women's rights, for black rights, and she holds people accountable when they're not saying things right. So I just don't like what Cameron doing that to her. Not to defend him, but just to explain his side, although I don't agree. His thing is, well, you should have called us for my podcast and talked about the good things that we've been doing. And maybe Abby should have led with that, to be like, hey, joining us today is Cameron. He is a successful rapper and now he has his own podcast and he does a lot of good things for the community. Hey, whatever, blah, blah. Maybe she could have given you a little bit more of that too. But maybe she did, because I didn't even watch the whole interview, and there must have been a lead in. But Jemele Hill posted this on Twitter, and she said this. She said, something is not adding up. I've done CNN 100 times, including Abby's show. Before every single appearance, a producer tells me and someone on my team what my segment is about and the types of questions that I'll be asked. If you aren't a regular, the producers typically insist on a pre-interview with either you or someone on your team who relays the talking points. She goes on to say, so either one, a producer didn't tell him or his team what kind of questions they were going to be asked, or two, a producer told him or someone on his team and he purposely decided to take the opportunity as a publicity stunt anyways. So it's like, listen, I have done Yahoo and Yahoo Finance, and I've done a couple of things like that, especially like in the US when I was promoting my book. And I had a publicist. And it works on both sides. Your publicist will say, hey, these are a couple of things that Trent would like to touch on and would like to talk about. And their producer will say, hey, these are all some things that we want to talk to Trent about. And then you come together and you're like, okay, let's do this and talk about that. So Cameron is a professional, man. Like, he's been doing this for years, right? So he knew what he was getting himself into. And if he felt like, hey, you should call me to talk to me about my podcast, then I just think that it would have been better off if he would just have said, listen, I don't want to just talk about Diddy, instead of going and making Abby look stupid, or reserve that for, like I said, somebody on Fox or somebody who's not on our side. Reserve that for Elon Musk. Reserve that for, I'm mad I can't remember the names, but I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about out there. Reserve that kind of energy for the people who don't support us, okay? Carlson Tucker, reserve that for Carlson. All right, this brings us to our third speed story. 50 Cent comments on Diddy's recent lawsuit, the same lawsuit that I just told you about in lead stories. 50 Cent reposted it on his Instagram, and he says, gosh damn, boy, another one. He said, this is my last Puffy post. I think he might kill himself, and I don't want no part of that. So this is 50 just trolling Diddy even more and not really stopping. I really don't think that this is going to be 50 Cent's last post, because he likes to go in on Diddy. But maybe there's a little bit of seriousness to it. And maybe he might be like, all right, let me let up on him. Because at the end of the day, he still is Diddy. And, I don't want him to think of actually, thinking of doing anything to harm himself. So actually, now that I think about it, I don't think 50 Cent actually cares. This guy, he's that cold-hearted. So 50 Cent is just trolling Diddy once again. All right, in our fourth speed story, Serena Williams jumps on Twitter and says, I'm ready to hit some balls again. And literally, people are going crazy. People are going crazy online. It already has, from last night, it had close to 3 million views, 3,000 comments, 27,000 likes, and 600 bookmarks on Twitter. And I'm sure that number has gone up since last night. But are you guys ready for a Serena Williams comeback? It's ironic that I actually talked about Angel Reese, because I think if you want to talk about two athletes that had put female sports on the map, was Serena and Venus. And I would love for Serena to come back. I want her so badly to beat that Margaret Court record. For those of you who don't know, Steffi Graf, before Serena, had 22 championships, but that was in the open, I think it's called the open racket era or something like that. But all times in the closed era and open era, the record is 24. So Serena sits right in the middle. Steffi Graf of 22, Serena Williams 23. So Serena Williams has the most Grand Slams in the open era, but the most Grand Slams of all times is still Margaret Court at 24. So I would like to at least see Serena come back and win one more Grand Slam. But gosh, I don't know. How old is Serena now? 45? I don't even know if she'd be able to. But Serena Williams is teasing us. We'll see if she'll make a comeback. All right, this brings us to our fifth and final speed story. Donald Trump makes a comment about contraception that should scare all of us. I don't know what platform he was on, but Kamala Harris reposted this and said, Kamala Harris responds to former President Donald Trump's comments after he said he was open to supporting regulations on contraception. In an interview, Donnie explained that his campaign would release a policy on the issue very shortly. The Biden administration has been very vocal on supporting women's reproduction rights. In June 2023, President Biden signed an executive order to increase access to contraception and family planning. All right, I'll play the audio and you can listen to Donald Trump yourself. I can't believe he would even say something like this, but then again, it's Donald Trump. You can't be shocked at this. But anyways, take a listen.
Do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception?
We're looking at that, and I'm going to have a policy on that very shortly. We'll be releasing it very soon.
So let's just repeat that. The question was, do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception? And Donald Trump said, we're looking into it. The question should be, no, we don't support any restrictions on contraception. It's contraception. We're not even talking about abortion. This is contraception. We're talking about condoms. How could you think on restricting any form of contraception? This is crazy. This is Handmaid's Tales. I'm telling you, this is nuts. Donald Trump is crazy. Vote for whoever you all want to. I do not want to bring my podcast into a political forum, but the fact that he answered, hey, we're going to be looking into it, that's crazy to me. The only answer to the question of do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception should be no, we do not support any restrictions whatsoever. Whoever wants to use any form of contraceptions, go right ahead. You're protecting yourself from trying to get pregnant. That is crazy to me. All right, this brings us to question of the day. Okay, I really love this question of the day. I'll tell you guys why in a minute. If you could travel to any African country, which would you choose and why? All right, so I'll tell you quickly before I read them out to you so that you understand why I really like this question, is that back in the day when I was modeling, I used to live in South Africa. I used to live in Cape Town. I lived there. I went there twice, so 6 months each time. So I practically lived in Cape Town for a year. But because I was on a modeling contract and I had to stay in Cape Town, I couldn't leave Cape Town. I couldn't go and visit anywhere else. So I could say, yes, sure, I lived in South Africa, but if you really know anything about South Africa, saying that you lived in Cape Town is like saying that you lived in like South Beach, Miami. That's not really seeing Africa. Like I wanted to go to like Johannesburg. I wanted to go to all these other places. And I never got to see any other country on the continent of South Africa, much less even being able to leave South Africa. Like I could not even leave South Africa. I couldn't even leave the little bubble of Cape Town. So I'm very envious, and I would love to travel to a million different places in Africa, man. And I will get to do it one day. All right, so let me read to you a couple of people what they say. Somebody said, Ghana for dual citizenship, fresh fruit, and natural skin products. Dion Taylor wrote, I'm in Ghana now living my best life. Don't let others lie and tell you about a place they've never been. I'm never moving back home. Somebody wrote, Tanzania, Zanzibar, it looks beautiful. Somebody said, heck no, I have no desire to go to Africa. Well, okay. Forget about you then. Moon Time with Alice said, Zanzibar, Morocco, Kenya, Ethiopia, Guyana, Nigeria, and back to South Africa. Oh, I think I'm stealing this person's answer because I want to go to all those places. I really want to go to Kenya. I really want to go to Ethiopia. So I love Ethiopian food, and I think Ethiopian women are some of the most beautiful women on the planet. When you see an Ethiopian woman, you know she's Ethiopian. Oh, love this. Somebody wrote Seychelles. I actually used to date a girl from Seychelles. I shouldn't say date, but seeing a girl, whatever. Anyways, it was a long time ago. Somebody else wrote Zimbabwe. Yeah, Zimbabwe sounds beautiful. Somebody said, I love South Africa. Yeah, man, shout out to South Africa. And I still have some friends out in South Africa. Some people out there still watch my podcast. So shout out to South Africa. Shout out to my homies down there. Somebody said Zanzibar. Okay, gosh, Zanzibar seems like the winner over here. Looking like a picture. It's a beautiful place. Kenya to see the best safari in the world. Wow, I didn't even know Kenya had beautiful safaris. So by the way, even though that I still just stayed in South Africa and I didn't leave Cape Town, I did leave like the area that I was in, and I did go to a safari, and I saw the Big Five. It was actually really beautiful. We got chased down by an elephant. I think I almost peed myself. All right, another person wrote Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Zanzibar, Ghana, South Africa, and Seychelles. Somebody said, I've been to 3, Kenya, South Africa, and Ethiopia, Seychelles, Guyana, Kenya, food. People are like, I just want to go, I'll go anywhere just for the food. So yeah, we pretty much are in the same boat, I think everybody here. And especially me as a Jamaican, they say during slavery, most of the slaves that were brought from Africa to Jamaica were from West Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana. So I definitely have to go to both those places, Ghana and Nigeria. I definitely also want to go to Kenya, and I want to go to Joburg. I definitely want to go to Joburg. I heard it's really dangerous though, but if you go with the right people, you know, because everywhere is dangerous. There's places dangerous right here in Montreal, dangerous places in the US. You just have to go with the right people and make sure you don't go to the right places. So shout out to the motherland. Shout out to South Africa. All right, this brings us to sports news. The Celtics beat the Indiana Pacers 133 to 128. Oh my gosh. First of all, just want to say, shout out to the NBA, shout out to Eastern Conference Final. I always said, I don't like watching the Eastern Conference. They're boring. That was a great game. No blowout. I don't think anybody took a bigger lead than like maybe 5 or 7 points maximum. The lead was changing back and forth. It looked like at the end of the fourth quarter, it looked like Indiana was going to win the game. I don't understand how Boston let them come back. I think Boston was in the lead by a couple of points. Then Indiana came back. Tatum missed a shot. A couple of guys were just missing shots with like 2 minutes left. It's like Boston was just like unraveling. All Indiana had to do was get an inbound pass. I can't remember who was inbounding it, but threw it to Siakam. It was a turnover. Then it was all over from there, man. Brown hit a 3, went to overtime. Overtime was a little bit close, but Indiana kind of just gave up, it looks like, and Boston, I think, what I just read to you, won by 4 or 5. Tatum hit a 3-point shot. Somebody else hit it 2. It was a wrap. The only thing, I still think we're going to have a great series. The only thing that scares me a little bit about a loss like that, like the win was, like Indiana had the win in their hand. Like it was literally just like running time off the clock, and they ended up losing. When you lose a game like that, that hurts you to another level, man. That really kills the morality. And they're already the underdogs, right? They're 6th place. Boston is 1st place. They have home court advantage. Next game is going to be in Boston. Game 2 is going to be a really big tell. If Indiana comes out and their motivation is just killed right away, I feel like the series will be over. I feel if Boston wins game 2, decisively, like if they win by like 10 or 15 points, to me, I think the series is a wrap. Indiana might win a game or 2, but psychologically, knowing that you almost beat the 1st place team and it was on their home court in game 1, you could have literally, that's a whole momentum switch. The fact that you lost that on an inbound pass, that's going to cause a lot of friction in the locker room. Maybe some fingers being pointed, and that could just kind of unravel. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't know the Indiana Pacers that well. I'm just saying that could happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen to LeBron and the Lakers one year where they lost game 1, and I can't remember, it was Hamilton, and he made a mistake at the free throw line, or he fouled somebody. The series was just over. I think that was actually even in the finals. Somebody went back and like punched the locker, broke their hand. Like the series was over. So game 1 is very important, especially when you think you're going to have a game in the bag and the other team comes back and steals it from you. We will see. More importantly, tonight is my teams. They're both my 2nd and 3rd teams. Dallas and Minnesota play. I 100% believes that the Wolves are going to win. We're going to beat Dallas. I don't think it's going to be a sweep or anything. I just think they're going to take game 1. I predict that Minnesota will probably win in game 6, maybe even game 7. It will be super tight, but I do want it to be Boston and Minnesota in the finals. We'll see what happens. Anyways, all right, that's the show. That's a wrap for me. Thanks for kicking it with me on this Hump Day Wednesday. A little bit of housekeeping. If you're used to watching this program, this podcast on YouTube or listening to it on podcast platforms, please try to check me out weekdays, Monday to Friday from 11 to 12 on CFQR600.com or 600 AM if you're in the Montreal area on your radio stations. You can listen to the Toronto Love podcast on there. We play 90s and 2000 hip hop and R&B. It's a great show. Check us out. Vice versa, if you're used to listening to this on CFQR600.com or on your radio stations if you're in Montreal and you can't always catch the show from 11 to 12, just know you could always check us out on demand on YouTube or on podcast platforms. Just log on and type in Trent Out Loud. The show will pop up. Don't forget to hit that follow and subscribe button. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow, Thursday. Have a great rest. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy, Trent Out Loud. Peace.